Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Today I am talking about one of my favorite techniques within Final Cut Pro to make your videos look sharper, smoother, and more professional all together right after this. I gotta get another setup. I don't want to get too stagnant being in the same spot all the time. I think it's time to go on an adventure. The weather's been a little cold outside. Time to go tough it out there. Wisconsin, June. Try to mix it up. Get you some videos from some different spots. So the big reveal, one of my favorite editing techniques to use within Final Cut Pro, which is motion blur. I use motion blur in a lot of my videos that either have a lot of movement or to make products look really smooth inside of my product videos. This is a technique that won't work in every situation, but when it's right, the chef's kiss. It's the little. I really advise watching all the way to the end and making sure that you understand how I use this motion blur so that you can implement it into your videos going forward. So to be completely transparent, the motion blur that I use comes from Ryan Nangle. I'm sure a lot of you have seen his work on YouTube. Really awesome edits and really great tutorials. This motion blur package is free to go pick up on his website. I'll drop a link down in the description and be sure to check out his channel. All the motion blur titles that I'll be using in this video come from that package. What am I doing with my hands? You'll want to go grab that and make sure that it works on your computer. This is what's really nice about Final Cut is that you can bring third-party things into your computer. Ryan has a video telling you how to find the right folders and how to get it in there right. So with that, let's jump into Final Cut Pro. All right, so welcome to my Final Cut Pro workspace. I got 3 different examples here of how I use the motion blur titles. So the only thing that I've done to these is I've either cropped them in slightly, whether it be a slight scale in, and then other than that, it's been some quick speed ramping just to make this tutorial go a little bit faster. And then I've also placed the motion blur on top already, as you can see there. I've turned them off for now, so we'll look at the before and afters just so you get a good look. What I love about these motion blur titles is that they turn on and off. You pull them down just as titles and you can really adjust it to get it right on the part of the video that you want. Downside to these titles is that Final Cut does not love them and it takes a lot of processing power to render them out. But once they're rendered, it makes your video look amazing, and I really think it's worth it. First example that I have here is hiding the cut or creating a smooth transition inward. As you can see here, we have 2 different clips that just cut together just like that, so you can really see that hard cut. First thing I've done there is I really like to pair this with some smooth transitions. I also picked these ones up from Ryan Nangle. They are titles as well, which makes it really nice, and once they're rendered through, it looks really nice and smooth. So here is with the zoom then. So you can see just a little bit smoother on how it cuts from that one clip to the next, as you can see there. And then finally, when we add the motion blur on top, I kind of like to keep this in the middle of the transition. In the middle of the cut is where most of the zoom is going to be happening, so I really like to put it right in the middle there to kind of sandwich it. That way, when most of the movement is going on, that's when the motion blur will be applied. I really like to use the moderate motion blur 2, so if you do go pick this up, this is my favorite to use. A lot of the other ones don't seem as natural to me, and this is the one that I use, I would say about 95% of the time when I'm doing this. When we play it back all together with the zoom and the motion blur, we can see how these cut together really nice and easy and makes that cut look really professional. So a lot smoother there. As you can see, it's just warping in, looking like, you know, nothing's happening and really hiding that cut. The next place I like to use motion blur is in speed ramps. So as you can see, I have made a quick speed ramps going from 40 all the way up to 400 in the transition, and then back to 40 going slow again. So normally coming through, we can just see how it's not as smooth. And then when we add this motion blur on here, again, same kind of thing with the hiding the cut. I like to use it in the middle where most of the motion or fast-paced movement is going to be happening. When it's slower movement, the motion blur is going to look a little unnatural, but when it's quick moving stuff, that's when it's really going to look finer and a lot smoother. So let's watch this again with the motion blur then. So again, we can see there that it is a lot smoother and a lot nicer just going through all the way and making it look a lot more professional. Finally, one place I really like to use the motion blur is in titles and text. I think that it really amplifies the movement if you want to animate text that you got to move through. So with my own logo, I'll show you, it's going to go from the full Finn Hartnett to flipping into the 3 lines. And when we watch it full speed here, it doesn't look as natural to the eye because there is no blur on those lines that are moving. Subconsciously, this is really easy for the viewer to tell if video is high quality or not. When there is no motion blur on something, it looks unnatural to the eye, but when we add the motion blur, it looks a lot more natural, thus making that feel a lot more professional to the viewer then. So when we add this motion blur on here, and again, we're gonna see these dots at the top because Final Cut does not love these titles, but trust me, they are worth it. So we're gonna wait for it to render here. All right, awesome. So it is rendered through. So let's take another peek at what this would look like with the motion blur applied then. So as we can see, that's a really quick fix to make something look a lot more professional. Subconsciously, the viewer is really gonna appreciate that, and it's really gonna increase the perceived quality of your videos. So running through it one more time, I love to use this in transitions, hiding that cut, speed ramps, and titles. I think that this really enhances work and creates a lot more professional feel for the viewer. So that is motion blur titles. If you have any further questions on how to make it work or how to make it look as smooth, please let me know in the comments down below. A lot of it is just playing with it and seeing what works and what doesn't. Unfortunately, the render does take a little bit longer with these, but it is worth it in the end. So I really encourage you to go over to Ryan Nangle's page, check him out, and pick up these titles. With that, this concludes yet another video. I hope that this editing technique helps you out in the future. As always, it is much appreciated if you would like and subscribe down below. Follow me at finnhartnett.nef on TikTok and Instagram, and I will see you in the next one. I'm sorry I still don't have a sign out phrase, but I'll see you then. Really quickly, I need to jump in here and just let you know that I forgot to mention in the video one of my favorite places to use motion blur, which is in product videos for the product. Check out my Instagram and TikTok if you want to see a little bit further about this. So sorry that I forgot that. I would love to use it in my product videos, and you will see that in the future.